Coming up on the Center County Report, authorities are still investigating the cause of a fire that tore through a Phillipsburg business.
And your allergies may have noticed spring is in the air. Find out what you can do to stop the sniffles.
Welcome to the Center County Report. I'm Peter Corveses.
And I'm Anita O. Investigators are still looking for the cause of a huge fire near Phillipsburg. The fire happened Wednesday in Chester Hill at No Place Like Home Furniture. That's in the Charles Navaski & Company building on Walton Street. There was no one inside the building at the time, but damages are now estimated at $1 million. We also now have information on plans to drain Collier Lake because of a damaged dam. Now local residents are trying to raise $6 million to fix the dam, but a hefty price tag isn't the only thing they say is costly. They believe the damage to the environment from draining the lake is too high a price to pay. A Center County judge told me he's working with the State Fish and Boat Commission to find another solution, and he says there's a good chance the dam can be fixed without draining the lake completely.
Now, spring is finally here, but so are the high pollen counts. Reporter Ashley Moore gives us the scoop on those annoying seasonal allergies.
Spring is in the air, and all across Center County, people with allergies are sniffling, sneezing, and just plain suffering from annoying spring allergies.
Allergy season, I be going through it. I be getting stuffy nose, puffy eyes, sore throat, be coughing and sneezing a lot, something like that. Have to take lots of medicine.
Sprouting trees and blooming flowers make everything look nice, but for many allergy sufferers, this is the start of the worst time of year.
I really stay away from like flowers and trees and anything that's pretty much green because my allergies just go crazy.
Spring in the Northeast started relatively late this year, and after a harsh winter and an increase in precipitation, pollen counts are expected to rise higher and earlier than last year.
Experts are predicting that's going to be severe and prolonged allergy season here.
That doesn't sound good for anyone with allergies, but there are ways to fight these seasonal aggravations. Experts say it is best to prevent allergies before they come. And a little advice, check the pollen count before you leave your house for the day.
There are antihistamines that try to prevent the increased runny nose and nasal congestion that you have. There are nasal sprays, there are eye drops. Zatador seems to be a very popular one. And then we also have the over-the-counter medications, sinus medications that you orally take.
And if those medications don't work, seeing an allergist or ear, nose, and throat doctor is the next step. For the Center County Report, I'm Ashley Moore.
Now, the good news is there are a lot of alternatives to managing your spring allergies. The bad news, those allergies aren't going anywhere anytime soon.
Now, I know I'm definitely suffering from those allergies. Let's check in with Heather Waldman for a look at this weekend's weather. Heather, please tell me that those of us with allergies can expect to see some relief this weekend.
Well, unfortunately, Anita, for you and the rest of the allergy sufferers out there, we're going to have to hold out at least through the rest of this weekend, as warm and mild air is going to allow the pollen counts to remain high as we head throughout the weekend. We do have a chance for showers as we head at least into the beginning of next week, and that could bring a little relief as rain helps to clean out the air a little bit. Here's how things look to start the week across the country. Again, a chance for showers here in Pennsylvania, but that could very well be one of the only chances for rain as we look into the 7-day forecast. I'll have more details on that coming up.
Graduation is right around the corner, but the increasingly high amount of students with outstanding student loan debt could call for a not-so-happy celebration. Students today are graduating with an average loan debt of about $25,000, and Penn State students are no exception.
Students are graduating with, higher debt than a lot of other universities across the country.
Penn State's main campus was ranked the highest for in-state tuition for a public institution, according to the U.S. Department of Education. And if Congress doesn't act soon, July 1st could mean the current 3.4 interest rate on federal student loans to double, adding about $1,000 a year to the cost of college education. Now, student loan debt has now even surpassed credit card debt.
Penn State's graduation weekend is next week, and families will be making their way into State College. The borough has eased up on its parking restrictions in anticipation of the large crowds. Starting at 2 a.m. next Friday, May 3rd, the no parking restriction between the hours of 2 and 6 a.m. will be lifted until 2 a.m. the following Monday. All incoming families and friends should be aware that parking meters will still be monitored and regular parking rules will be enforced. Visitors can park at any of the downtown parking garages for the weekend. Some people look forward to retirement so they can vacation around the world, but others have a different vision in mind. Reporter Stephanie Olmo talks with one woman who's dedicating her retirement years to humanitarian work.
Those are the voices of kids of Rwanda, Africa, singing Twinkle, Twinkle, Little Star. They're enjoying the company of one another and to their new school, plus everything inside it, thanks to Carol Falke.
There's not enough seats, there's no books, there's no materials for the children. What we can offer is a classroom that's creative, that gives the kids a chance to play, have fun, have books, learn about science and art.
Carol and others made it possible for kids in Rwanda to attend school and get an education. But going to Africa wasn't exactly what she had planned after she retired from Penn State.
People would say, what are you going to do? And I kind of jokingly said, just, well, I'll figure something out. And it turned out well was the word, that I actually started working on a water project on a well in Africa.
Soon after, there were more opportunities where this time she found herself working to help children in the community.
Working on education programs, helping to build schools, helping to start a sewing center. More and more has been happening over the past year and a half, 2 years that I could never even expect it to happen.
Bringing kids from wealthy and poor homes together in a classroom is the most important thing to her.
You have a school, a classroom that's made up of kids from all different backgrounds. That's what the real world is, not just going to school with everyone that's the same.
Carol plans to continue to expand schools throughout the community in Rwanda, giving children and adults a chance to further their education. Reporting in State College, I'm Stephanie Olmo for the Center County Report.
Carol is an active blogger. To learn more about her volunteer work in Rwanda, you can visit her blog.
Coming up on the Center County Report, we take you to New York City for the NFL Draft. Our Center County Report team is there.
Plus, I had a chance to visit with two very special friends.
It's just like we're two peas in a pod.
Find out what sparked this new friendship.
Also, we went behind the scenes to see what it's like to be a firefighter here in Center County. There are new updates today on the accused Boston bombers. The surviving suspect was moved early today from a hospital to a federal medical detention center at an Army base west of Boston. Meantime, investigators say both brothers plan to strike New York City after Boston. They say the surviving suspect told interrogators that he and his brother decided to drive to New York last week for another attack, but they ended up in a shootout with police instead. Now, the Schwab Auditorium was host to a big political showdown on the Penn State campus this week. Former Speaker of the House, Newt Gingrich, squared off in a debate against former White House Press Secretary Robert Gibbs. Although the debate was light and comical at times, tension rose when the issue came up on the Boston bombings and whether or not the U.S. terrorists should receive due process. Gibbs said regardless of how despicable a U.S. citizen could be, they still have rights, but Gingrich had a very different stance.
I believe when somebody takes up arms against the United States, even if they're an American citizen, it is an act of treason.
The debate lasted about 45 minutes and ended with a Q&A, where members of the audience asked the debaters a variety of questions.
Organizers and administrators broke ground this week to kick off Phase 1 of the expansion of Penn State's intramural building. The $26 million project will add an extra 48,000 square feet to the existing structure. The funding for the project was provided by the University Park Student Facilities Fee. Expansion is expected to cut down on crowding and wait times and increase fitness opportunities.
This really shows the university's commitment, and especially the Facilities Fee Advisory Board's commitment, to fostering student activity and recreational facility use, and so this is just showing like one step more towards that.
Phase 1 of construction is expected to be finished next spring. Some say age is just a number, and for two senior citizens in Center County, that's never been more true. I caught up with them this week to hear their unusual story. Lois and Ellen of Center County are both widowed and live alone. When they met just a year ago here at the Center Region Senior Center, they found something unexpected: each other.
If you click, you click. Yes. It's just like we're two peas in a pod.
Two peas that are 12 years apart but have become the best of friends.
No, when I first came in and first met Lois, why, she just reminded me so much of my aunt that had passed away, and she'd love to do the same things. And I found a buddy.
They bonded over their love of making crafts and a common background in helping others.
She was the LPN, and I was in first aid and stuff like that. It just seems like we're all connected with all that stuff.
Even to those around them, this friendship is something truly special.
They care for one another, and it shows. And in that, you can't help but care for them as much as they care for one another.
So just how long will this friendship last?
Oh, forever. Forever.
A forever friendship like this is hard to find. For these two, they feel lucky to have found it at all.
Lois and Ellen sell their homemade blankets, dolls, and accessories to local residents. All of those proceeds are donated to 5 different Center County charities.
The Penn State Center for Performing Arts is teaming up with the recycling program TerraCycle for a good cause. By collecting candy wrappers, the Performing Arts Green Team is helping provide meals through TerraCycle's partner, Feeding America. Each candy wrapper collected is worth points, and those points are used to buy meals through Feeding America.
For every 50 points that we get for our wrappers, and we get 2 points for every wrapper, so for every 25 wrappers, we're able to provide a meal for someone in need.
More than 17,000 candy wrappers have been collected so far, and more than 400 meals have been provided. Collection locations are at the Penn State Downtown Theater and Eisenhower Auditorium. Now, reporter Kelly Rule got a behind-the-scenes look at what it takes to be a volunteer firefighter. Now, here's Kelly to tell us a little more about her visit with Alpha Fire Company.
When there's a fire in Center County, the Alpha Fire Company is there, no questions asked. But risking their safety to protect you isn't the only thing that's on the line. I went behind the scenes with Alpha to see what it's like to be a volunteer firefighter.
People are happy to see you, and they appreciate you being there.
The Alpha Fire Company has been putting out fires and saving lives in Center County for more than 100 years. But what some don't realize is they do it for free. Alpha is an all-volunteer fire department.
It's almost like a second job. We're competing against the part-time job. They'll get paid, $15 an hour for 4 hours a night, and we don't get paid.
And it isn't easy.
You have to be careful that you don't be away from the family too much, but if you're away from the fire department too much, then you miss training, you miss skills. It is a very fine line. I mean, jobs have been lost doing this.
But for this diverse group, it's worth the risk. These firefighters are made up of Penn State students and professionals from all kinds of jobs and all different ages.
I retired. So at 54 years old, I became a firefighter. I work out every other day, run every day. Have to do that just to keep up with these young guys.
Alpha Fire Company responds to about 1,000 calls per year. So no matter what time it is, they're ready to put on their gear and hop in a truck.
You just gotta kind of pre-plan what you're gonna do and make sure your priorities are straight and in order. We get a call like, an hour or two before a test, and just gotta bear with it.
But getting enough volunteers in the door to respond to calls is a daily challenge.
It's one of the 3 things in life I lose sleep over every day. Is do you have enough people? Will you have enough people? That's always the concern of a volunteer fire company.
Bear says they may eventually have to make the same change other companies have and add the volunteers to a payroll, but that would mean help from taxpayers.
We're not selling a very glamorous product. We're giving you the opportunity to come work hard for no money. I think it's great when you still have people who care enough to come out and do this job.
The Alpha Fire Company covers 98 square miles in the Center County region and has already responded to more than 300 calls this year. It's charity race season in State College, but this next one is for the dogs. Tomorrow, the SPCA will hold its 5th annual dog jog at the Grange Fairgrounds in Center Hall. With no outside funding, the shelter holds fundraisers throughout the year. This 5K race is the largest.
It's getting bigger every year. We have 155 pre-registered now for Saturday, and we have registration the day of the race, so we'll get a lot more, I'm sure.
The shelter holds dogs, cats, and even horses. The money raised will go towards keeping the place up and running so they can hold outreach events. The Grange Fairground staff is excited and looking forward to the upcoming race.
We have our annual dog jog occurring Saturday morning. That's always so much fun. We have a lot of participation from a lot of different people, not only in Center County but beyond.
Registration begins at 8:30 a.m. Vendors will arrive at 9 and the 5K will begin at 10.
We're taking a live look right now at downtown State College. Plenty of sunshine out there. Temperatures on their way up as well, and we're heading into a spectacular weekend here in Center County. Bright skies throughout the entire weekend with really no chance for rain. That doesn't come until at least the beginning of the week, but even so, chances for rain should be very few and far between as we take a look at the 7-day forecast in just a moment. Right now, we're in the upper 40s here in Center County again. Brilliant sunshine making these feel just a touch warmer than that. By the end of the day today, most of us should be in the upper 50s. Overnight tonight, though, lows could get back down near freezing with clear skies. Temperatures should fall off pretty quickly. So again, another chilly night ahead. But for the day on Saturday, with high pressure off to our east, winds will turn out of the south, and we'll notice a significant jump in the temperatures. We see that here as we look at the 7-day forecast. Temperatures near 70 degrees for your Saturday. A few more clouds for the day on Sunday. That'll keep temperatures just a touch cooler, but again, just a bit above average as well. Monday brings with it the biggest chance for rain throughout the week. But then, as I said, that's really the only chance for rain as we look at the entire 7-day forecast, with temperatures hanging up near 70 for most of the week. So guys, the weather looks great, but for those maybe focusing on finals, it may be a little hard to do that.
Luckily, I don't have that problem, so I think I'll be hitting the golf course all week this week.
Sounds good.
Thanks, Heather, for bringing us that great news. I'm definitely excited for our sunshine. And another thing most people are excited for is a new musical group at Penn State that's getting more popular. Reporter Ashley Lyotis got a behind-the-scenes look as they prepared for a recent concert.
You've probably seen these guys around State College, at events and tailgates. Who are they? The Statesmen, Penn State's newest all-male a cappella group. They're already putting themselves on the map, advancing to the semifinals of the International Championship of Collegiate A Cappella, competing against 200 teams and winning awards for Best Soloists. But it's not just about the competitions.
It's less about the music, I think, for me, even though I really love the music as the music director. It's more like getting to hang out with these guys and perform for lots of really nice people.
This student-run group practices whenever they can find the time and a free room. And with nearly a dozen other a cappella groups at Penn State, they try to differentiate themselves by keeping their music contemporary, but also by engaging their listeners.
We try to make a set of songs that can appeal to anyone who would see our concert. So we just try to hit mostly a lot of songs from today, but also a song from the last few decades too.
They have at least 4 concerts a year, along with other performances and competitions. And with the recent a cappella craze, thanks to movies like Pitch Perfect, the Statesmen are getting lots of positive feedback.
I think it's seeing the reactions that we get, because a lot of people don't know what a cappella is, and being able to get the first impression and have it be a positive one and a fun one is the best. What did I stand for most nights? I don't know.
In University Park, I'm Ashley Lyotis for the Center County Report.
The Statesmen's last concert was this past weekend, but they'll be back in front of the Family Clothesline in State College before every home football game this fall.
Speaking of sports, the Center County Report is at New York City's Radio City Music Hall for the NFL Draft. We'll take you there live next. And a prominent Penn State football player has decided to leave the program. All that and more coming up after the break. It's day 2 of the NFL Draft in New York City, and today's the day we could see some Nittany Lions drafted. Center County reporter Jeff Lowe is part of the team at Radio City Music Hall covering the draft. He joins us live via phone call with the latest from New York. Hey Jeff, so after being there last night, are there any big surprises so far?
Yeah, there was one pretty big surprise. E.J. Manuel going to the Buffalo Bills was a pretty huge surprise. It stunned really the entire Radio City Music Hall. It was pretty wild. They traded back to 16 to take a quarterback. Most thought it would be Syracuse's Ryan Nassib, who played under the new Buffalo Bills head coach Doug Marrone, but I guess that's a pretty big slap in the face because they did not take him, taking E.J. Manuel, who many projected. We had projected as a second, third-round pick out of Florida State. We actually interviewed him a couple weeks back. You can find that on our website. And he's a project, so a pretty big surprise. Buffalo took E.J. Manuel, the only quarterback in the first round.
Yeah, that is a big shocker. And I know that some big names haven't been taken yet. Can you talk about who are some of the better players that are still available?
Well, I think the obvious names are still on the board. Matt Barkley out of USC, Ryan Nassib out of Syracuse, Geno Smith out of West Virginia actually left the draft yesterday, wasn't going to come back, decided to come back today, Monteteo, but I think our best player available is probably Eddie Lacy, the running back out of Alabama.
And as many of us are wondering, what is the outlook for Penn Staters as the draft is getting further into it now on the weekend?
Well, I'll be pretty surprised if we see a Penn Stater go tonight, actually. I think if anyone goes, it'll most likely be Gerald Hodges. Jordan Hill has the potential to go tonight, but I think people might take a quick risk on Gerald Hodges tonight. But you'll most likely see Hodges, Hill, and Maudie go tomorrow, and maybe center Mac Stankiewicz might go as well tomorrow. So at most 4, but there will be at least 3 Nittany Lions selected before the end of tomorrow night.
All right, we'll have to keep an eye out for that. Jeff Lowe in New York City, thank you for joining us today.
Yes, thank you.
For more draft coverage all day, they'll have updates on Twitter. You can follow them at NFL Draft Show. Spring football practice is over, but there are already big changes happening for the Nittany Lions. The battle for starting quarterback position just got a little smaller this week. Just a few days after the blue-white game, Coach Bill O'Brien announced sophomore Stephen Bench has been granted a release to transfer from the football program. After a post-spring practice meeting, Bench told O'Brien he's interested in playing at another school. Bench will finish up the current academic semester before transferring. O'Brien said he'll help Bench in any way that he can. Sophomore Tyler Ferguson and freshman Christian Hackenberg, DJ Crook, and Austin Whipple will be here in August to compete for the starting quarterback position. The season opener is against Syracuse. The Penn State track and field team is in Philly today for the 2013 Penn Relays. We caught up with a few members of the team before they left on Wednesday. Penn State is the defending champions in 2 relays and several field events. The squads kept their practices to a minimum this week by focusing more on stretching and lighter drills. The women competed yesterday, and junior Brittany Howell took first place in the Penn Relays heptathlon. Howell made history, becoming just the second Penn State woman to take top honors in the event. The men are competing this morning and will continue throughout the day. The relays will conclude tomorrow evening. And finally, the men's volleyball team is hosting the EIVA championship this weekend. The guys won the EIVA regular season title and earned the #1 seed for this year's tournament. The team had been practicing all week with hopes of bringing home the championship title. Their first game of the tournament was last night against Princeton. Penn State beat the Tigers with a score of 3-1. Now the team will have to face Harvard tomorrow night at 7 o'clock on campus in Rec Hall. The winner of tomorrow's match will then advance to the NCAA National Collegiate Men's Volleyball Championship next weekend. That's all for sports. We hope you enjoyed all of our sports coverage this spring. Stick around. There's more Center County Report after the break.
Penn State's annual Spring Music Festival, Movin' On, starts today at 3 p.m. Crews have been working hard since yesterday to get the stage ready for headline acts like MGMT, Big Boy, and Brand New. Organizers say the move to the intramural fields has allowed the concert to grow.
This is the 3rd year in a row that Movin' On is on IM Field West outside Beaver Stadium. In years past, we've been on the Hub Lawn, and it was much smaller production. You know, the stage was a lot smaller, and obviously the venue was smaller.
Admission for the concert this afternoon is free to everyone.
That's all for this final Center County Report for this spring.
As you can see, it takes a full team to bring you this newscast each week, and we want to take this opportunity to recognize the entire CCR team.
You can follow us all spring and summer for news updates on Twitter, and we'll see you back here in September.
Bye.